The hardest stories in armored warfare are not always the ones where the enemy is strongest. Sometimes they are the stories where a winning army, moving fast through darkness and smoke, becomes dangerous to itself. In the fighting that followed 73 Easting and spilled into Objective Norfolk, American forces had the initiative, the better night fighting equipment, and the momentum of a campaign that was breaking Iraq's armored defense. Yet the battlefield was not clean, and victory did not make it safe. Friendly fire, or fratricide, became one of the bitter truths of the Gulf War's ground campaign. In the dark beyond the famous grid line, tanks and Bradleys moved through dust, burning wrecks, scattered Iraqi positions, prisoners, and overlapping American formations. And the same speed that made victory possible also made recognition terrifyingly fragile. If you would like to move beyond the podcast, you can see my available books at militaryauthor.me. And at trackpads.com, you will find magazines and galleries with hundreds of thousands of photos and videos to explore. To understand how this could happen, it is necessary to strip away the comforting idea that modern technology makes the battlefield transparent. The American Army in 1991 had thermal sights, radios, careful control measures, and trained crews, but it did not have perfect knowledge. A thermal sight could show heat where the naked eye saw only darkness, but it could not automatically say friend or enemy. A radio could carry reports, but it could not ensure that every commander understood the same picture at the same moment. A map grid could organize movement, but it could not place a glowing label over every vehicle in the dust. Objective Norfolk was fought in the darkness after a violent cavalry battle, and the ground was crowded with wreckage, movement, and uncertainty. The pass-through from the 2D Armored Cavalry Regiment to the 1st Infantry Division was necessary, but it created exactly the kind of conditions in which mistakes become lethal. The cavalry had fought hard at 73 Easting and left behind destroyed Iraqi armor, disabled vehicles, bunkers, prisoners, and scattered enemy survivors. The Big Red One then had to move through that torn battlefield and continue the attack against remaining Iraqi forces. In theory, this was a disciplined handoff between trained formations. In practice, one force was coming out of a fight while another was entering one, and both were operating in poor visibility with incomplete information. Vehicles that were where they were supposed to be moments earlier could now be moving, burning, or hidden behind dust and smoke. Friendly fire is especially dangerous in armored warfare because the weapons are so powerful and the decisions so compressed. An Abrams tank can destroy another armored vehicle in seconds. A Bradley can fire quickly at a shape judged hostile. A gunner who waits too long may die if the target is enemy. A gunner who fires too soon may kill a friend. That is the terrible moral pressure inside the turret. Outside observers can look back with time, diagrams, and after-action reports, but the crew in the moment has a sight picture, a radio net, a commander's voice, and fear. The same training that teaches crews to identify and shoot quickly against a real enemy must also teach restraint. But restraint is hardest when the whole battle rewards speed. One of the most serious incidents associated with the 73 Easting and Objective Norfolk fighting involved American vehicles being struck by American fire in the confusion of the night battle. Official Army accounts connect the fighting in this area with the destruction of 5 American tanks and 4 Bradleys, along with 6 U.S. soldiers killed and 30 wounded. These numbers should be spoken with care, because they are not a footnote to an otherwise clean victory. They represent crews and infantrymen caught in the gap between battlefield speed and battlefield understanding. They also show that the danger did not come only from Iraqi resistance. It came from intermingled movement, poor visibility, uncertain identification, and the difficulty of keeping a large mechanized force oriented while it was still attacking. The broader Gulf War record makes the problem even harder to ignore. Of 98 American battle deaths in Desert Storm, official histories have noted that 21 were caused by friendly fire. That proportion shocked many people because the war was remembered publicly as fast, decisive, and technologically dominant. It was all of those things, but it was also fought by human beings inside a dangerous system. Thermal sights helped crews see heat signatures at night, yet American and Iraqi armored vehicles could still be misread in bad conditions. Coalition forces moved faster than earlier armies could have imagined, yet faster movement created more moments when units overlapped, crossed boundaries, or appeared where another friendly crew did not expect them. modern war had reduced some dangers while sharpening others. The night at Objective Norfolk made identification especially difficult because the battlefield was full of misleading clues. Burning Iraqi vehicles illuminated the desert, but they also threw shadows and smoke across the line of sight. Wrecked vehicles could look like live threats through thermal sights if heat remained. Iraqi vehicles might be moving, fleeing, or abandoned. American vehicles might be advancing from unexpected angles after passing through the cavalry sector. Prisoners and surviving Iraqi soldiers moved through the same spaces where fighting still continued. A crew looking through optics did not see a labeled battlefield. It saw fragments, a turret shape, a hot engine deck, movement beyond a wreck, a muzzle flash, a vehicle silhouette partly hidden by smoke. In that world, certainty was rare, and seconds mattered. Commanders worked hard to prevent these tragedies, but prevention was harder than doctrine made it sound. Control measures existed to keep units inside assigned areas and phases. Radio reports were meant to update positions. Recognition panels, markings, vehicle shapes, and unit boundaries all played some role. Yet each safeguard could fail under pressure. A unit might drift in poor visibility. A report might be delayed or misunderstood. A vehicle might approach from an angle that made it look unfamiliar. A burning background might erase normal visual cues. A crew might believe no friendly unit should be ahead, only to discover too late that the battlefield had moved faster than the mental map. Fratricide often begins not with recklessness, but with a false picture that seems true for just long enough. The tragedy also reveals something important about tempo. Throughout this season, speed has often appeared as a source of American strength, and it was. The coalition's ability to move, see, fire, and decide faster than the Iraqi army helped collapse the defense. But tempo is not pure good. The faster an armored force moves, the more demanding its command system becomes. Positions must be updated constantly. Units must know where neighbors are. Leaders must understand when the situation has outrun the last order. Fires must be coordinated and shifted quickly. When all of that works, the enemy cannot recover. When any part fails, friendly units can become the most immediate threat to one another. Speed must be governed, not merely admired. There is a temptation to discuss fratricide as a technical problem and leave it there. Better identification systems, improved digital tracking, stronger communications, and clearer procedures all matter, and the U.S. military learned painful lessons from Desert Storm that influenced later efforts to improve situational awareness. But fratricide is also a human and organizational problem. Crews under stress see what training, fear, expectation, and fragmentary information lead them to see. Commanders build mental pictures that may lag behind reality. Staffs draw boundaries that the battlefield can blur. Soldiers trust that friendly forces are where reports say they are, until the moment they are not. Technology can reduce uncertainty, but it cannot remove the burden of judgment from war. The Iraqi army's collapse contributed to the confusion in its own way. When a defense breaks unevenly, it does not leave a neat front line. Some Iraqi units fought, others surrendered, others withdrew, and some simply became lost inside the destruction. That meant American forces were not advancing against a clearly marked enemy wall. They were moving through a battlefield where resistance appeared in pockets and where enemy and friendly movement could overlap in unexpected ways. A coherent enemy line can be dangerous, but at least it gives shape to the fight. A collapsing battlefield can be more confusing because the danger is everywhere and nowhere at once. Objective Norfolk was not a parade through defeated ground. It was a fight through the wreckage of a system coming apart. Handled honestly, fratricide does not diminish the courage or skill of the American soldiers who fought at 73 Easting and Norfolk. It makes their battlefield more real. They were operating inside a campaign of extraordinary speed, under conditions that tested every system the modern armored force possessed. Many performed with discipline and restraint. Some decisions were tragically wrong. Many soldiers paid the price for circumstances far larger than any one crew. A serious military history must hold both truths. 7th Corps achieved a crushing victory over Iraqi armored forces, and within that victory, American soldiers were killed and wounded by American fire. The lesson is not cynicism. The lesson is humility before the complexity of mechanized combat. Fratricide in the dark matters because it warns us against turning modern armored warfare into a simple story of sensors, speed, and victory. The same battle that showed the power of thermal sights also showed their limits. The same Corps movement that broke the Iraqi defense also created moments of dangerous intermingling. The same mission command that allowed leaders to keep pushing also required a shared understanding that could become strained in darkness and dust. From Cambrai to Desert Storm, armored warfare had always promised to restore movement to the battlefield, but movement brings its own hazards. At Objective Norfolk, in the glow of burning vehicles and the confusion after 73 Easting, the U.S. Army learned again that seeing first is not enough. An army must also know what it is seeing, where its own people are, and when speed must bend to recognition.
You've been listening to Famous Tank Battles. These battles were never just about machines. They were about doctrine, terrain, firepower, logistics, and the hard problem of turning shock into victory. For more military history writing and books, visit militaryauthor.me. And for magazines, podcasts, and a massive archive of military photos and video, visit trackpads.com. Thanks for listening.